And there's such a strong calling to be love, to be what we truly are. I was thinking of that today. That's why we're here, really. That's why we're gathering, to really, we want to remove whatever is in the way to the experience of that love. It's completely beyond the form. It's completely beyond anything that we can see with the eyes. So we're very glad and happy and grateful to see you all and join in that desire, that calling. We want to even be more than an angel. We want to be the Christ awareness. That's the desire in the core of all of us. And we are that. We are that. We just want to remove whatever is in the way of that awareness. So that's why this group is can be a very useful tool, a very useful space to support the removal of whatever needs to be removed for that experience. And we make this group together with you guys. We come with our presence, we come with our prayers, with our questions, maybe with pain or hurt or different beliefs that have distorted our consciousness. So we come with that whole mix. And we want to lift it up so we can see it, because when we see it, it will go away. It will clear. And it is by looking together that we heal. Looking at the ego, looking at the doubt and the blocks and the questions.
Yeah, so as we were tuning into what to share tonight, a section from right in the beginning, chapter 1, section 2, right after the 50 miracles principles, really he talks about revelation here, but there's some really beautiful sentences about how we seek for that joy. He says sometimes it's sought in physical relationships. But then he goes on to say, physical closeness cannot achieve it. Miracles, however, are genuinely interpersonal and result in true closeness to others. Revelation unites you directly with God. Miracles unite you directly with your brother. So it's this idea that often we're seeking closeness in form. And he says you can't really find it there. You know, I wasn't thinking about physical closeness when we were again thinking about the group tonight, but what came forward was intimacy. And true intimacy is joining beyond fear. And the way that we achieve that is we just wash what's in our minds. Sometimes we might have an issue that seems to come over and over again, a person, a relationship, a topic. And it seems like we have to heal it over and over, but we're just washing it. We're washing it again and again. And over time, the sharp edges soften. We just watched a movie where one of the characters found a piece of glass that had been washed in the ocean, and it was round at the edge. It's very soft. But it didn't start out that way. But over time, that softness comes. And so all of the hard edges that we have, often in our relationships, often that's where they show up the most, need to be washed. And this process of bringing these things forward, looking at them with gentleness and kindness, realizing that we're never upset for the reason that we think. This is the journey to complete softness in the mind. It's not like a wishy-washy softness. It's not like a weakness at all, but it's an unyielding love that is supremely soft. And its power, it's powerful and soft at the same time. Words we might not always put together. But this is the theme that is coming forward, is really bubbling forward for us to dive into together. How can we find that intimacy in our space that's here? And again, by bringing this, anything that feels hard or kind of jagged, rough-edged, into the soft space, it too heals. It has the opportunity to shift. And once we kind of get the hang of this, then the journey is just rinse, wash, rinse, repeat, I think it is. Right? We just repeat it again and again and again. So
Yeah, we can do it that way, and then we can also take it even further off the timeline. Yeah, because it can seem, can seem long if we think of it on the timeline, that it takes time and that, okay, we're going to be healed over time. It seems that way actually, but it's very powerful because you can only change your mind now. You can only heal in the present moment, and even enlightenment can be only now. Like it cannot be in the future, because the future isn't real. The future will never happen. But when we give time over to spirit, we may need, it may be very scary to say, it's only now. At least it was for me when I was in shock when I had experienced really the reality of the holy instant, the present moment. But then when I had more stuff to heal, when the ego came up into awareness, it was very scary to know that it's not in the future, but it didn't seem to be in the now either. So yeah, so to give time over to the Holy Spirit is really very useful, and that's the only way that we can become really happy, because the ego kind of owns time. Otherwise, the ego always thinks about the future and plans and about the past. So this true intimacy that is beyond form, that cannot be experienced in physical relationships, that's what we're going for. That's the intimacy with God. And that, going for that, will lead to true closeness with others. like Barret was reading, that leads to miracles. That's why we need to nurture the one relationship and give over all other relationships to the Holy Spirit, all of them. And the special relationships can seem to be the most difficult ones because they bring guilt. That's where we hide our guilt. It's in the special relationships. But that's also where we can look at our guilt, because it's right there. It comes up in awareness very easily in the special relationships. So that's where we can practice the uncompromising solution of forgiveness, of really reaching to the Holy Spirit and really trusting what's in our hearts, what's in our intuition. And often we avoid speaking it in the special relationships because we're afraid of so many things, of hurting the other one or rocking the boat or surprising someone. But that's actually, it's not very helpful to hide like that, because if there is only one of us, who are we hiding from? We actually hurt ourselves by that compromise. Anyway, that's like a summary of what's going on in the mind, and an invitation to today's session where we can talk about and explore anything. You all shared such beautiful prayers and intentions in the last session. And we can go a bit deeper today with whatever is there for you to be explored. And don't be afraid of speaking here in the group. We really are among like-minded, and everyone is here to heal their own mind and watch their mind. So it's okay to share anything. Wesley.
Hey guys.
Hi.
This is something that we've discussed with you before. I find it rather challenging when I'm in the experience of like something coming up for me, feeling guilty. Usually it shows up when I find attraction with another woman, and then I feel all this guilt around that, and I don't want to expose it. And so we've been working with that, and you just said there, it's like, if you pray about it, pray with what's coming up around that first. And it's the same thing that David said to us. But I noticed that I feel like I've fallen back into that pattern over the last week or so. We had a difficult experience where Angie and I both expressed about something. And when I expressed about that, and I don't even know if it was anything specific, but just what I was seeing in myself, in my mind, around those particular patterns of guilt and whatever. It really, really triggered Angie. And then later that night, there was a really difficult experience for the both of us, with a lot of anger coming up. And it was like the anger came up, but I decided to leave the room and do something else. The anger was coming up for Angie a lot. And then I got triggered after I defended myself about something she said. And I mean, I don't know if I pushed the anger down or repressed it or what, but I'm not sure what's going on. It feels like there's something in my mind that I'm not looking at, that I've been afraid to expose. And I feel like until, I can't remember the lady's name who just expressed, it was like she like undid this repression that I was having seemingly over the last week of not wanting to expose, not wanting to speak, not wanting to be seen. I could just, it felt like it lifted as she was expressing. So yeah, there's something there, and I'm assuming it's around that. It just feels like a really difficult healing process, because I do feel responsible for Angie, because it looks like the pain that she, like, I mean, I can see my own mind in it, but I'm not feeling that same pain. But like the pain that she goes through when I expose that type of stuff sometimes looks like it's so difficult, that it's like, I don't want to do it. Because I guess there's still a belief that I'm responsible in some way, that I'm responsible for an external person and how they feel. I mean, I had this conversation, with a guy that watches the movies with David with us, a couple weeks ago, and there was a pretty big healing around that. But since then, it's felt like I've been like, trying to move through molasses, like something's been kind of holding me back. And like I could expose about, so many different experiences every day where we go out in the world, and I see a woman and I find attraction to her. But I can't, it's like, am I supposed to do that all the time? I mean, this thing has been going on in my mind for 30 or 40 years. Well, I guess 30 years. And now that I'm in a relationship, there's so much seeming guilt around it. And am I supposed to just like keep exposing this thing, exposing it? I mean, it helps alleviate my guilt, when I expose it. My guilt is released, but then Angie has this like intense pain. And I don't know what to do. I feel helpless in this pattern. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the true way, Wesley, to expose it is to give it over to the Holy Spirit. Like when you feel attracted to someone that you feel you shouldn't be attracted to, the practice is to give this image over to the Holy Spirit. That's the way you expose it. You work with the Holy Spirit with it. And as guided, or if guided, sure, you guys can talk about it, but exposing doesn't always mean that you have to confess, to Angie. Angie works with her mind, you work with your mind. And that, yeah. One time, because I have dealt with these issues a lot in the past, and one time I was sitting in a car with my boyfriend, with my partner, and David was in the car too, and another woman. And I thought my partner was like very attracted to her. Like he looked at her body, he looked at her breasts. And all of a sudden, David just said, like out of the blue, it sounded like, is it a sin to look at Jessica Lange? Like it's from a movie. And I got so angry, probably a bit like you're feeling, Angie, because I thought, yeah, it is, it's a sin that he's attracted to somebody else, and I couldn't get over that is wrong, and but I had to look at my anger and my fear behind it. And yeah, so I mean, this is, I think this is just common stuff in relationships. And I think it is your job, Wesley, to be very truthful in your relationship with the Holy Spirit. And as you heal and you, what do you want, you know? And because it's not, yeah, that is my thoughts. What are your feelings about this?
I think that's perfect. Yeah. Yeah, I really get that line you're saying, that it doesn't mean you have to confess every thought or emotion that you have to another person. It does mean you want to confess everything to Holy Spirit. You want to be really present with it all and not hide anything, not hide your guilt or your shame, not hide whatever feelings you're having. You don't want to kind of luxuriate in them either. You don't want to indulge in them, but you don't want to repress anything. And I think that's the journey. And part of the kind of the work of it is that discernment. You know, when is it right for me to talk about this? Who should I talk about it with? You know, how do I want to really hand it over more? In those times when you're doing the work within, you're handing it over to Holy Spirit and it doesn't feel like it's, you know, moving much. It obviously is good to express about it, but to feel really prayerfully guided around that and to let that come through you as well. Yeah, I think with our very intimate partners, we have to kind of, you know, see and really be guided in how, even how we interact with them, not to ever hold anything back out of fear or guilt or shame, but also to really kind of be tuned in around what needs to be verbally communicated, what needs to be explored together in that way. So, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And it is, you know, it can seem like you guys have a dynamic there. But you sometimes get attracted to other women, and you sometimes feel very afraid or angry when you do that. And I think, I don't know, what came to me is just this, you know, practice that you do have, like, projection makes perception. So you do work with your own world, so to speak. So even, yeah, when you work together in a relationship, you know, the way you perceive the other one is completely your own perception that you need to work with. And often the other one is not even doing those things, or this is not happening, whatever you're perceiving. It is a subjective perception. That's the way I felt. I worked a lot with my mind. Like, it isn't really happening out there. It is in my consciousness, and that's where I need to acknowledge how it feels, what I see. And there will always be willing participants when you project, because that's the way it goes. Like, when you feel guilty and start to blame the other one, then there is a ping pong or maybe anger, but yeah, to really go within and really work it through, because we know it's not in the images. They are not. That's not where the problem is. It's deeper in the mind. I think this is great. It's good to talk about this. Maybe everybody has experienced jealousy and fear of loss, attraction to people you shouldn't feel attracted to, according to, when you're in a committed relationship. Good things to talk about. Yeah. Thanks, Wesley.
Hey, Tenny.
Hey, Sevi.
Barret. Hi. Hi to all. Thank you so much.
Good to see you, Sevi.
Yeah. Good to be here. Just I wanted to share when you said to Lori about true empathy, it just really hit me. And I felt so strong pain in my chest because I felt so much guilt around this topic and about the special relationship that we are trying so much to fix. And I have so strong the past in my mind about this special relationship that I had with this man that I have told you recently, that it seems like I tried everything to fix him when I was feeling all this pain, or to fix me, or to fix the situation between us. And I could really see that that was not the way, just to me force things or try to fix me or him or the situation. And because of that, I had so many times those reflection of rejection by him, or the anger to not force things, and just because I can, it's like I'm seeing the partners, but the patterns, but the guilt is so strong that it seems sometimes that I can't stop it, because my mind is so overactive so many times, and all this what happened in that connection is coming back again and again to my mind almost all day long. And it's so painful to feel that guilt almost all the time. And because of that of that reflection, that it seems that it's not so gentle, I feel more and more guilt about what happened. And yeah, this causing me my peace. It's like I can't go back to peace when I'm holding on my mind what happened. So it's like a prayer to let go of all these painful memories. But because it seems like sometimes I can't let go him or the situation, but when I truly can say, it's like I can't let go of the guilt and the pain. And yeah, probably when, as you said, these special relationships is bring us to the surface all the guilt, and sometimes it feels so healing, but it feels so painful in the same hand. It's like I don't know what to do or what is better to happen when you are feel so attracted to some people. When it feels so healing, it's so painful in the same time. I don't know, just I feel like I don't want all the time to just be in that painful process and to experiencing more peace and joy and more to those kinds of special relationships too. Because I think that otherwise this is not the way to just deal all the time with patterns and mind and pain and trying to see the light all the time. It must be there. So yeah, this is my prayer and thank you.
Mm. Thank you. Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like I always say the same thing, but to really give over these relationships is the only way that you can get clear. Yeah. If there is something you would like to put on the altar, that is, because as far as I understand, this is a relationship that is over, but you say like you feel guilt around what happened. So if there is something you would like to share that could help you, maybe to share about what happened or what is sticking in you.
There are so many things. There are so many thoughts. I don't know what to pick up. I think most of all, it's that feeling of guilt because it seems like I was trying to force things to happen. And I could see that that was not the way, and that I continued to trying this, and so it is like a thought in my mind, like you are so silly and so crazy at the same time. Because sometimes I was feeling that I have to trust my intuition. I have to hear my heart and act as my heart felt. But when I was doing this, it was feeling sometimes that was not the way it was. I had back those reflections of anger and rejection, and then I was feeling so bad about myself, about, oh my God, you thought you was hearing guidance or you follow your heart, and but that was not the way. So you are so stupid, you are so crazy doing this. And yeah, it's all the time, most of all, that guilt and that sense that I am crazy or I am stupid, that I tried to hold on so long for that connection um, um, that was showing me that was not healthy. It's all the time this in my mind that was toxic. He was narcissist, and I was trying to to make all this happen, and what is narcissism, and according to the course, and all these things that was so I was so overwhelmed with all those kind of things.
Well, I know how passionate you are, Jávea, and how much love you have to share, and how generous and eager you are to share your love.
I'm feeling, yeah, so that's every time that I'm trying to share my love with a guy, he's so terrified and so afraid that he started to push me away. And he won me back, and he pushed me away, and this is like going all the time.
Yeah. I think it's just the way it looks, this is the washing of your mind. You are learning to love freely, and to not interpret the form and how it is received, or if it is received. It's always received when it is truly shared. Love is extended. That is the nature of love. And most people are afraid of love. And so I just feel innocence, and that I think the lesson is patience, in a sense, not to hold back love, but patience around, if you're longing for a partner and it seems like the one you would like is not ready, or you need to be patient maybe, but to just keep expressing the love freely, sharing the love. It is extended the moment it is accepted in you. It's extended everywhere.
Yeah.
Is that pain that you only feel that you want to share that love with a specific person, and he or she don't want to receive it? So it's like a step for me, like to share love in another way, universally.
Mm-hmm.
And then I feel and think that he is receiving that too, somehow.
Yeah, of course he is. Yeah. And when you are on this path of awakening, you go very deep, and not so many will go with you. Maybe nobody will, because that's the way it goes. Because it's also, this is just letting go of unhelpful thoughts. But I was like you too. Or maybe I am, but I fell in love with different people, and they wouldn't come along. They just turned their back, one after another. And I was heartbroken. It was so, because it felt so deep, it felt so strong. And there were such strong signs, even, and guidance, and all of it. And the person just wouldn't join me. And I felt it was the phase I went through of having to let go. and still love. And because we're, when we have an experience with somebody, we really attach the experience to the person, and we think it's there, but it really is an experience of the mind that cannot ever disappear. But I think there is a learning in letting go of the object, so to speak, the face, the person, and to learn that you are love.
And something last, it's the guilt coming about being so in love with an idol.
I couldn't hear. Say that again.
I said, and the last thing, it's the guilt that is coming about being in love with an idol. And like, I don't want God, I want something else. It's like coming up, like betrayed God. It seems like so. Thank you so much for your sharing.
Thank you, Sally.
Yeah, and I think you can let go of that guilt. Holy Spirit will use your desires for your awakening. So this desire to be, with a partner, that gets used. It's all perfect. You don't have to feel bad about that.
Christopher.
Okay.
Now you're in the waiting room again.
Oh.
Okay.
Oh, it kicked me into the waiting room on my other device, not on my phone.
Okay.
We hear you now.
Well, we can
it's
hear
good.
you now.
All right. So I really resonated with what you said, Jenny, about waiting for them to come along and feeling this deep love. I started having experiences after I began reading the Course in Miracles. First one, just random person, like in an acting class, where it felt like what is described as a Kundalini awakening, just being very present with this person. Just feeling like the electricity go through my bodies and synchronicity and this joining. And I had that experience with a few other people. And for me, when I experienced it, I was like, oh wow, this is what it can be like. This is what love is. This is how you can join. And I wanted more of that. I was like, this is the real deal. And the first person actually didn't experience that at all. She only saw a change in me, but the other two did. And it seemed to frighten them somehow. Like it was too intimate. One of them mentioned like she just felt like she would lose herself during these experiences. And so that was really sad to me, because I didn't understand why everybody wouldn't want that thing, And so it was hard for me to realize that, yeah, some people just, that's not what they're looking for. But there's also, this shame that came from it too, because in a lot of ways I felt like that they were also looking for, in this world, that a relationship looks this way and a mate, meets this category and this category, and they have this type of profession and all of this. No one ever said this. This is totally my belief on what they thought and my projection of them. And that comes up more as I age, and the fact that I see other people that they seem like they know what they're doing in this world. They've reached a certain level of success, and so that at times I just sort of like if I'm in the dating pool, like I just feel sort of unacceptable, right? Like I haven't achieved the things that you're supposed to achieve as a man at this point, and have the career and have this certain amount of money and be able to take care of, you know, this many children and this and that. And so sometimes I kind of want to just to give up, and I think the word hide, you know, that's been in this meeting so much is fits really well. I just want to hide in myself, and sometimes I just feel like you know, it just won't ever happen.
Thank you. Yeah, for sharing. Yeah, of course, you're so worthy of love. And of course, you know, it's completely not what the mind is saying, that you have to be in a certain, that you have to have certain characteristics for it to work. And the older you get, the less is the chance. That is all, yeah, in this world, in the ego's world, these things seem very important, and that's how it goes. But with awakening, yeah, I mean, you have to accept when it comes to you, when it's the right time, or you know, the right relationship will show up. But it is this practice of really giving over the relationships. Yeah, and you're not in a relationship at the moment because you've had a girlfriend, I think. But
Right now, you're asking?
yeah,
No, I'm not. It's been a little bit. I actually had a dream a couple nights ago about the last relationship I was in. It ended up being really painful. I still have a lot of pain from it, honestly, and a lot of distrust and feelings of betrayal. And it's really difficult, both with her and her father. I feel that way, actually. It's like, and I feel like anytime there is any communication, you know, I don't know. I think maybe I'm protecting myself. Is that my perception is that I feel like anytime I get any good communication, quite often there's like this thing tagged onto it that hurts me somewhere, you know, buried in it, and it's like I'm having trouble having any kind of forgiveness, even though I know this person. I know that their intentions have always been the best, but unfortunately they've been dealing with severe trauma and, you know, body issues and things like that. But right now I just don't want them. I don't want them to talk to me at all. Like I feel like they have this ability to hurt me so deeply, and I'm so afraid of it that it's easier for me to concentrate on all the things that they did wrong, or the ways that they've hurt me, to keep my heart closed, because it's just too much. And that was the dream was pretty simple. Even it was just this woman, and she kept trying to make eye contact with me and get close to me. And it was sort of this just dance of me trying to get further away from her and never make eye contact and not let her touch me. And that was all the dream was.
Yeah. Well, as you share, I just get this image of the pain of this like an open wound. And it just, it's still raw, you know, it still feels raw. And sometimes there's a process in having a wound that you kind of need to take the bandage off and expose it to the air and to the light. And I think even just talking about it here feels like that. It's like opening the wound to that care of being seen.
Yes, I agree with all that.
I also get this feeling around it of I just see you as a young boy. I don't know, maybe like 6, 7 years old. Like there's some tenderness here. That's just like some desire for connection that feels rejected, that goes back to some older time, some time earlier. And I just feel like there's a very strong piece of that here too. Maybe that makes sense. Maybe you know what
Yes,
that's connected to.
Yeah, it's like you're really in touch with sadness. at
What's
this
that?
moment. You're in touch with your sadness around this.
Yes, yes, very, very much so.
Mm.
Very, very much so. But I I also am at a point where there's also starting to be, there's this optimism also that's still like hoping for that possibility, for that like healthy union, you know, where I think everything is perfect by any means, but for something else than I've experienced.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And it is through the sadness, through healing this, and it feels like you're really following your heart, following your intuition around this. You don't really feel to talk to her anymore because you feel there is blame, or there's a lot of love, and then there is something else that is kind of attacking you. And it sounds healthy to say enough and I'm moving on, and your heart is opening. And yeah, I mean, there will be many relationships, and you know, you're really on a healing journey. Yeah, and it's not too late. It's never too late. It's the saying, but it's, of course, you know, it's gonna, the ego will always say and paint a dark picture, and that you don't, you know, and you don't fit in. These ideas about how a relationship is in the world, you don't fit into that, and you don't have to ever fit into that. You don't have to learn to be a dad or you know. It's all about awakening. It's all about you clearing your mind, healing your mind. It's all about that. And whoever comes along in that, it's going to be a beautiful blessing and support the healing, but you need to let it be given by the spirit. You don't even really need to seek for it. But there can be a strong prayer for it, for a relationship, and prayers are answered. Thank you so much for sharing just so openly.
It's helpful.
And thanks for sticking with it when the communication wasn't flowing.
That's okay. I'm gonna try to get back on the computer so I can see everybody, but
Yeah. I mean, maybe it helps if I just share briefly what it looked like for me, the steps. Now we have 2 people in the waiting room. We won't accept you, Crystal, because you're already here.
here, let me close mine on the computer.
Yeah. Well, I can just briefly share because maybe it's helpful. So the first phase of my life, I was like normal. I even got married when I was 19. And then A Course in Miracles came into my life, spirituality. And at that point, I had already divorced. I divorced when I was maybe 23 from a 10-year relationship. But yeah, when the awakening started and the spiritual life, that's when I started falling in love with, you know, I used to say like left and right, like maybe like 6 times during 1 year. And it was very deep and very powerful. And it felt like oneness. It felt like, oh, we have something here. And the other person definitely felt it too. There was this joining, this beautiful experience. And then they all turned away. Like some of these was like 1 day, 1 week, 1 month. And then the fear was there. And this was my own healing, but it seemed like the fear was always in them. They were the ones that didn't come along with me. So then I didn't have relationships for some years, but there was still the longing, but I just focused on my healing and awakening, and I had to trust that it would come in. But it was a very important time, and I faced loneliness big time. I just faced loneliness. I was alone, and it was terrifying to face loneliness. And then a relationship did come in where there was a very powerful just teaching learning situation where I undid my ego in a big way. And then this more holy relationship experience came in after that. So it was like many steps of becoming very honest, because it started with a prayer for me that I don't want to use relationships anymore for my ego. I don't want to use any relationship. Sure, for awakening, for healing, but using like for my needs or to get something. I had a very deep prayer coming from the core of me saying, I don't want to do that anymore. And that's how my awakening journey started. And I didn't have relationships then after that prayer. It was all this focus on healing and looking at my mind. So yeah, just about to share that. That's how it looks for me, and it looks different for everyone, but there's those stages. Yeah. And now it's more it is used, it's a symbol, or it's a light way, and very supportive and helpful. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Very welcome. Okay. Does anybody else want to share? Karin.
Thank you for sharing that, because I have been thinking of, I have made a choice last week in according to when I'm with my granddaughter and my son and daughter-in-law, and I made that choice. I want to express my love and and share my fears. And I have started doing that, small steps. So so I have been with my granddaughter. She's 1.5 years today. I've been with her Saturday and yesterday, and it has been such a big shift, because she's been responding my thought about I want to express love, because she's been so happy and so joyful, and it has been, wow, that's really a shift. So what's in my mind I see outside. So yeah, it really touched me. Seeing a small child being so trustful and responding to where love is. Yeah. And I experienced yesterday, we were outside and then a car came and a man walked out of the car and she walked toward him, but he turned away, and then she just stopped, and then she turned away, and she was just happy. She didn't feel this abandonment. So oh, it was really nice to watch that. That was just love. Yeah. Well, he doesn't want me. Then I turn around and my grandmother's here. It's really, I was really touched. So this shift in, I want just to expand love, and I'm not worried about her, and she's very sick all the time, but I thought, no, I don't want to look at that. I want to expand love. So this is the shift I see then. Yeah. Really. And even my son, I told him about, I had some fears and about something, and he said, don't fear about that, and don't feel guilt about what you did. You were as a mom. Don't bother about that. So it's really a shift I can see. Yeah, when I have decided to look at it in another way and have help from the Holy Spirit. Yeah. Yeah. But even then, before I went on this, I had this pain in my stomach, because, whoa, do I have to find some problems to share? And what do I, it's all about this. What can I find in my mind? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. So, oh, well. Yeah.
Did you find any?
Yeah, because, because when I can see that I use these holy relationships for preventing me from taking the steps toward what I really feel joyful, and when I'm talking with you, Jenny, I still have this going on, about, well, can I leave Denmark and my family? So yeah, that's my fear. So I think I need to talk with you someday about that, because it's not for this gathering, I think. No.
Sure.
Yeah. But that's also about relationship, and so it can be in many ways. But I just wanted to share all my joy about shifting focus. And I see the miracles immediately. Yeah. So it's possible, but yeah.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, I love all the joy. It's just like bubbling through you.
Yeah. And a small child is just that they don't hide anything. They are just they respond immediately on love and fear, and it's just a mirror that responds immediately. So yeah. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's enough for me.
Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah. yeah, the ego has such a deep idea about loss and sacrifice. So I think that is what you are looking at, and we all have to look at that. And Jesus says that all our relationships are in our mind, like they're never lost. Like we think they're lost if the bodies are apart, but like we shared in the beginning, it's not about the bodies being together. That is completely an illusion, actually. It's all about our thoughts and minds join. And yeah, so it is about following our calling. And in following our calling, we will heal everything. And we will discover that there is no loss and there was never a sacrifice. Yeah, that's what this is. And the ego will always hold on, and there's such fear of loss. But we miss out actually when we hold on so tight. Seemingly. Yeah. So love is like an open hand. I used to share that love is an open hand where the bird feels free to land. Like we can't grasp for it, but we can let it land.
It's beautiful.
Angelica.
Hi everyone.
Hi.
I feel so sick last night. I don't know what's going on in my mind. Something came out like this. So I don't know what is that, but feels so sick and come up a lot of fear to death. Have a lot of thoughts like, oh, maybe it's COVID, maybe feel so bad, need go hospital and maybe dead, and all these crazy thoughts, and feel a lot of fear come up. I feel so sick last night, and I don't know what's going on in my mind, and maybe you can speak something about this fear to death. And I can see in my mind I'm the identification. I believe that I'm this body, can suffer and can death and can disappear. Thank you.
Good. My spontaneous feeling, it's good. You get an opportunity to face that fear that you're gonna disappear. And it's always an opportunity to not interpret the form, like even how you feel or how the body feels right now. Just be gentle. Sometimes sickness, you can see it as healing rather than sickness. And I feel it can also just wash away too. Yeah. And to even hand over Angie, hand over your own, hand over the body. You're not really that body. Thank you. sharing. It's powerful just to express, like, yeah. Join in mind here. Yeah. Is there anyone else who would like to bring anything up before we finish? Anna?
Hi. As we've been sitting here in the group today, it was a really big shift in my mind because I started off just asking to truly listen, because I'm getting very sick of that interrupty other voice in my head, but it just split, and I could kind of see that voice that talks over everybody is my need for specialness, for specialness, because I'm in my journey with the course and all that stuff. I didn't do a lot of reflecting on how like my childhood affected me and stuff like that. I don't know why. I'm not sure why I kind of did it in a different way. But then I could just see all of a sudden how we're all born and you want to be special. It's all you're just born with this inherent desire to be special, and how it's impossible to have that filled. And then flash to my point right now, I've been being shown like the magnitude of all of this, and it just hit me how who I truly am will absolutely satisfy my need for specialness and more. It's almost like your identity is given back to you because it's more than enough. Like, I've been sitting here in shock over the past month, like, oh my God, this is so crazy awesome. And then it just hit me like, who I am will more than do in terms of getting my need for specialness filled. And this just happened listening to all of you guys right now. Thank you so much for all your words. It's so clear. Like, that's so beautiful. Who I truly am is more than I could ask for here. That's for dang sure. And I just felt to share that with you all. Yeah. Yeah. You go through that phase of feeling totally worthless, then being shown your worth, and you're totally in disbelief of it. You're like, whoa, that is a little too worthy for me. I don't know how to handle that or process that. So you go through the process of processing the reality of who you are. And then just right in this past hour, I can see, yeah, who I truly am. That'll do just fine. And I just thought I'd share that with you guys.
Thank you, Anna.
Yeah. Thank you guys. Thank every single one of you. So wonderful. Thank you.
That's great. You have a way of putting it in words. Yeah. I'm sign here too.
True. Sometimes spirit works through internet connection issues.
Yeah. Yeah. This has been very, very beautiful and awesome. And yeah, I feel we will just keep going deeper. This was the second session. And it's a big group, and you feel like you feel into this. I can feel it, and you're doing great. Yeah. So we can just carry on and feel more and more comfortable together. Keep sharing what needs to be healed or expressed. Let go.
Yeah. Yeah, we love you all.
Yes, we do. Sweet. Have a good night or a good day wherever you are, and see you soon. And yeah, we're available. We've had some calls with some of you, and just keep in touch, because it is good. Now we're going into process together, so we're happy to have some one-on-one calls too. That feels helpful. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we're with you.
Blessings.
All
We
right.
love.
Love you guys. Bye.